This shot called for Gumshoe to slip and slide on a big puddle of pizza sauce. My constraints were that the look of the pizza sauce had already been established in the previous shot, and the character animation wasn't finalized, so this rig had to be flexible enough to work with whatever movement the character animators made. I created a plane to emit pizza sauce particles, added gravity, and a ground plane for them to slide on. I made Gumshoe's tire a collision object, so it would displace the particles convincingly as he slid on the sauce slick. To enhance the look of the pizza sauce, I wrote a couple of quick expressions to vary the width of the emitter plane and to randomize the radius of the sauce particles a little. After a little tweaking, the model worked very nicely for the final shot. For this model, the ruffles on the sleeves needed to bounce and flex like real cloth. Unfortunately, the model was already overloaded with 19 other cloth solvers, so something quick and simple was needed to simulate the look of cloth without the computational overhead. To deform the ruffle, I made a simple lattice whose motion was determined by a series of rigid body spheres. These in turn were controlled by a network of spring and pin constraints. As a result, the ruffles reacted realistically to the movement of the arm, and the dynamic constraints didn't burden Maya any further. I prepared this model for a lecture I delivered on Maya's dynamic constraints. The idea was to make a rig as physically correct as possible. This rig could then be used to model any car at all. I chose to model my Honda Civic to a scale of 1 meter equals 1 Maya unit. I measured my car so I could place the wheels in the correct positions, then made a trapezoid stand-in to act as the body of the car. Now, as long as the center of gravity and mass matched those of the original, the rig would behave in the same way as the real car. To simulate the car's suspension, I used a hinge constraint so the tire could move up and down, and a spring constraint to simulate the shocks and struts of a real car. I looked up my car's spring and shock rates and converted them from kilogram millimeters into the appropriate Maya stiffness and damping parameters. To allow the tires to rotate, I added a second hinge constraint to the tires. As a last step, I added gravity, made ground for the car to roll on, and parented a super high-res slick model of my Honda Civic. The motion of the visible car was then controlled by the dynamic model underneath.